Hello and welcome to another episode of That's Hockey Talk. We have got a full house in the room today. Joined as always by AQ Shipley out there in his wood grain palace in Arizona. Right next to me, CFO Phil making an appearance with a microphone.
Thanks for having me.
He's talking. That's great. Our Canadian friend, Kyle Gumpy Cathcart.
Thank you.
And, of course, our esteemed fearless leader, the Pat McAfee.
Hey, stick tap, guys. You see that? It's a stick tap. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good things happen when tap sticks, boys.
So we got all you guys in the room here to finally talk some hockey. I'm excited. We don't normally get to do this. Pat's usually pretty busy. He had some time to join us today. Pat, what's going on that you want to know about?
I want to know. I just heard yesterday that the Penguins are very good at hockey, and then they get beat up by the Flyers, which is kind of upsetting. I talked to my personal hockey expert in Alan Quay Shipley yesterday, right before the Flyers-Pens game. He tells me the Pens are very good. Hammer the Pens. I bet everything I had on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they get blown out by the Flyers. And now we're in this situation here.
Shutout last night by the Philadelphia Flyers. After a shellacking last time they played them. Brian Elliott was in goal. I think the Pens won like 7-2 or 7-3. Come back last night, and the Flyers just absolutely owned them in every aspect of the game.
Not good. That's your fault.
Not good.
That's your
not
fault.
good. No, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. See, listen. Last time it was 4-0 after the first period. 4-0 after the first period. Yesterday they didn't show up. I don't know what you want me to do. There's nothing I can do to tell them to show up. They just didn't show up yesterday. They weren't there. They didn't win the 50-50 puck battles. They weren't strong on the puck. They didn't even show up. They were 2 feet in the sand getting ready for the All-Star bye week. That's what I saw.
Well, you lied to me.
Well, in his defense, they were riding high after a comeback win against the Bruins on Sunday. Huge national television, huge win. They were down, was it 3-0? Come back to win. Crosby, two beautiful, a backhand pass in front of the net, and then one between his legs, send it out front. Simone scores. Who else got the goal?
Bluger.
Bluger gets the goal. They come back and win after that embarrassing defeat earlier in Boston. So it's been an up and down, little bit of roller coaster week here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And something else that happened in that game, and Pat, I want you to speak about this a little bit.
You got it.
The old Bronx cheer for Matt Murray after he let in 2 goals early. Yeah. Some people were saying are soft. Penguins end up coming back to win. But after that, later in the first period, the Pittsburgh crowd gave Matty a few phony cheers there, a few cheers and jeers after a puck came in that he made an easy stop on.
I saw Mark Madden was not happy about this. I saw that he thinks that Matt Murray has done enough for the city of Pittsburgh that he doesn't deserve that type of disrespect from the crowd. And I agree with Mark. I don't think but I think that comes with the territory of being the Pittsburgh Penguin goalie. Honestly, I've been a Maff fan since day one.
Oh, yeah.
Maff was my guy. Marc-Andre Fleury, just loved everything about the flower. Then he started not doing great. Matt Murray showed up. There's people that were booing Maff there for a while, and Marc-Andre Fleury did a lot. And I was not happy about it. I was like, hey, take it easy on my guy Flower. This is just something that happens in Pittsburgh sports. Look at the kicker, Chris Boswell. I mean, he went to a Pro Bowl, basically, started having some misses. Get him out of town. And then now he's back. It's just one of those things that happen. That's because Pittsburgh are passionate fans. I don't love that Matt Murray or any other goalie's getting disrespected, but I think it just literally comes with the territory.
Standards are high, especially when you're in back-to-back championships like that, and then you get swept in the playoffs last year. People want heads and spikes.
And hey, pal. Tony Barrasso would have never let any of that type of stuff in. So, I mean, when you're battling against that type of Kenny Reggett, I believe, was another one.
Yeah.
Kenny Reggett was a goalie, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
See that? I mean, these are people these are legends of the game in Pittsburgh. So you let up a couple easy goals there, pal. They're not going to be happy. I don't like that it happened, but I think that is just the standard, the expectation of Pittsburgh.
AQ, I know you wanted to talk about this, and you mentioned specifically paying fans with tickets the right to boo or not, or to cheer and jeer their goalie. How do you feel about this?
I think it brings up a great debate. I'd love to hear what our listeners think of this. I mean, I think from the fans' perspective, you look at it and they're paying customers, right? They're paying their hard-earned money to come watch these people who make a lot of money, and their job is to show up day in and day out, regardless of what sport you play in. And when they come and they feel as if you're not putting out 100% of what you're supposed to be putting out, then the boos come flying. And I think it's an interesting debate across all sports. It's you go play in Philadelphia, regardless of what sport you are, the boos are coming if you don't show up, and that's just what it is. I think it's an interesting debate. I personally don't love it. I think if you're a fan of a team, you show up, you support your team, you understand there's going to be good days and bad days, but I think it's obviously an interesting debate.
Now I don't want to cut off Nick here with his answer, but I honestly, now listen, there's some people that cross the line, I think. I think there's some fans that cross the line. But man, I don't mind if a fan has high expectations. Like, I don't know. I think that's a part of the sport. I think that's a part of every sport in the competition world. Like, if you want to pay and be an asshole, I mean, there's just assholes out there. You know what I mean? I think that's how I feel. Philadelphia, by the way. Kansas City was even like that. When we played at Kansas City, Brady Quinn was the quarterback, I believe. And they were just waiting for him to throw an interception. Just waiting for him to throw an interception. It was late in the season. They had stunk. Their offense had stunk. They were just waiting for him to throw an interception. And as soon as he did, that place erupted. They were pulling, like happy for him, mocking him so bad. I think that's just what fans expect is greatness. And I appreciate that. But, I mean, as a player, you're like, a little bit more sport. Maybe bear with me a little bit. That'd be good. Maybe I'm not going to be 100% all the fucking time. Get off my ass a little bit. But that's not how fans think.
I mean, it happened to Patrick Waugh in Montreal, but how great he was for that franchise. He got booed out of there and left for Colorado because of it.
Yeah, he literally told the coach, I'm never playing for you again because he didn't get pulled in, and he didn't. He was traded, a couple days later.
Yeah,
but to me, it's like there's, 18,000, 19,000 people in that arena? Yeah, there's going to be some boos, and they reserve that right. When they pay for that ticket, if they're not happy, they can express their opinion. I don't think that reflects on the entire fan base or even anyone in that arena. It's much like the Andrew Luck thing. Similar, different situation, but similar reaction from the fans. Some fans were pissed, and they wanted to boo and let it out in the moment, and I get that. But it's like there seems to be this divisiveness where like you have to choose one goalie or the other, whether it's Marc-Andre Fleury, who's long gone and not coming back, or Tristan Jarry, who's doing very well right now, or Matt Murray, who's had success in the past. And then people want to diminish Murray's past accomplishments because he's not playing super great right now, which although if you look at his January numbers, he's playing pretty damn well.
Won 6 out of his last 7, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, and his
third period numbers are as good as anyone's in the league right now.
Yeah, so it comes with the territory though. When you're playing goalie, you're going to have to face that. He was pretty upset about it. They talked about it in the media, and then the players I love came to his defense though. Like Gino went out in the media and spoke out on his behalf and kind of said shame on you, on the fans. Like, we're all trying hard. No one's out there half-assing it. Just shit happens sometimes. Sid said the same thing. Like, you guys, we're great fans in Pittsburgh. We understand you're passionate, but he's got to let goals in. He's not perfect.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. It's like, hey, fans have to realize that obviously this isn't a video game, and what your rating is on your best day, which is what video games are, it's not going to be every single day, whether it's mental or human error, whatever it is. But there's always going to be a couple assholes in the crowd. I just think that's just how it always is going to be in life and at games. So I don't know.
I thought Mike Sullivan's comments after the game were quite interesting too, because they said, well, why didn't you make the move? He said, well, at that time, Matt Murray was the least of our problems, obviously stating that the rest of the team was playing like shit. So I think everybody wants to point the blame at the goalie all the time. It's just what you're going to do as a fan. But at the end of the day, there's a million. It's just like you want to point the blame at the quarterback in football, but everybody else could be sucking, and it might not. And again, the quarterback might be the least of your worries.
I'd rather him, let them in the first period and be stellar in the third. Doesn't really matter if you let in 3. Is it 1 per period? 3 in the first, 0 in the third. I'd rather have the 0 in the third.
Not to toot my own horn, but as soon as horn. Not to toot my own whore. Not to toot my own horn here. As soon as I saw them go down 2-0 early, I jumped in and live bet them to come back and win, and then they did.
I think as a coach in hockey, that is a tough line to toe. You don't want to pull the goalie too early or too late because they could be pissed either way. It is hard to find the right spot.
I didn't even think about a goalie being pissed because he was pulled too late. Like until you said that thing about Patrick.
Yeah.
That's great. Like, hey, man, I'm obviously getting killed. This is my best
you let in 8 goals. You're like, okay, pal, like I'm done here.
Get me out of here. The team's not helping me out any. Get me out of here. And leave them in there.
Oh, I didn't know that happened. Yeah. I always assumed it was like the fake chivalry thing where they're like, I'm going to get better. Like I was.
Yeah, it's a fine line to let the guy either play himself out of it or let the team pick it up or just give him the yank.
So goalies are really a thing. Like there's some days where you just can't see the puck. Like it's just like, hey, I obviously don't have it. It's not like you're going to play out of it. I didn't know that.
They're their own animal for sure, but I liked your comparison. Are they comparable to kickers? Is that a good comparison?
I think mentally
across sports.
Yeah, I think you got to have that mental toughness.
Pitchers,
yeah, I think
quarterbacks, anybody who's an ego-driven position, right?
Whoa! No, it's not that. It is a position that is solely spotlighted, is what you're saying. It is a spotlight position because at one point you're the only human on the screen at the time being talked about.
Yeah, and the nature of the beast there because they can influence the game in ways that other players can't.
Yeah. True. Direct effects. How do you feel about that? Sit hurt. Hurt. Snap the ball.
I mean, I think I always try and like pull analogies from my sport. And it's like if you're a quarterback and you're down 42-0 in the third quarter, it's like they don't want to play anymore. They don't want to be in there anymore. But coaches are like, hey, you're going to finish this game. You're going to show the team the toughness, and you're the leader of this group. You are going to finish this game.
That's what I'm talking about. I can't believe goalies don't have that. The goalies are like, no. I want fucking out of here, bro. I can't do anything. You see it. They all see it. The whole crowd sees it. I didn't know that was the way goalies think. That is awesome. The fact that they get pissed off that they're so bad at other people is that is awesome. That is a beautiful culture to have. Like, yeah, if you're so bad that somebody won't pull you, you're allowed to be mad at that person for you doing terrible.
It's the same as pitchers in baseball, right? They get shelled. If they get hung out there, they give up 12 runs and their coach isn't coming to get them. They're pissed too, right?
I don't know. I have no idea. I never played the sport. I have no idea. I did one time.
I guess it would be like if you missed like 3 or 4 kicks and they just kept trotting you out there instead of trying to go for it. And it's like, what are we doing here?
I did miss 2 kicks in a rather large game, and I wanted another. I was like, I got to at least make one here. I mean, that's the thought. I don't know. That's crazy to me to think that. But it's also probably something where you can tell if you have it.
Yes.
It's something you can tell if you can figure it out or not. Like some days, I did not know that. That's awesome. I just learned something here on Hockey Talk.
Well,
what's it called? That's Hockey Talk?
That's Hockey Talk.
Hey, Phil's a hockey coach. Did you know that, AQ?
I didn't know that. I'm real honored to have you a part of this today, though, because I'm learning as we go, too. Let's do this thing.
You're doing a great job.
Speaking of Phil, let's switch gears here. Phil traveled in here this morning on his way through Chicago and O'Hare Airport, and he saw Corey Crawford, Blackhawks goalie. Didn't say anything to him, which would have been nice to get him on the show, maybe give him a little plug.
With his wife and kid. Have some respect.
Oh, well, you didn't mention that.
Been there.
And then, but interesting, though, Chicago's turnaround lately and how well they've done after starting so horribly and not making the playoffs last year. They had won 5 straight games, only 3 points behind AQ, your Arizona Coyotes, for the second wildcard spot. And they got Coach Q coming back to town last night with the Florida Panthers. Obviously, used to coach the Hawks, won 3 cups with them, legendary coach in the NHL. He comes back into town. And they can't get it done. They lose 4-3 on the back of a Frankie Vetrano hat trick.
Yeah, I think Robert Leonard's been key to that. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind in goalie. Coach Q coming back, it's a heck of an ovation, well deserved. Good, but it was good to see. It's good to see them back in playoff contention because it's been weird seeing them so far down. Last year not making the playoffs and firing the coach and doing that whole thing.
Do they still throw hats?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
No, where do those go?
Most of them are donated to local homeless shelters and, people in need.
That's very nice of them.
Very noble cause.
Maybe people should think about scoring hat tricks more so we can take care of the homeless. It's a winner.
It is very selfish of guys not to score hat tricks every night, to not put hats on the hatless heads of the homeless.
And how many people are wearing hats to games? A lot of people. It always feels like there's more humans wearing hats to games.
Yeah, like guys like Gumpy, he's Canadian. They love hats. They wear hats all the time.
Have to.
Is Canada
Don't
bald?
have a choice.
Is Canada just bald or?
Just me and AQ.
What the fuck, man?
It's a brotherhood. Come on.
I'd like to give a round of applause here, though, from everyone in the room for Patrick Kane because he became the youngest American-born player to reach 1,000 points. So I think he deserves that.
Good boy, Patty!
We love our Americans.
Way to go, Patty. Hold on, I think that there was a fight.
Did you see Taves and Keith scrapping?
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
So the captain, Jonathan Taves, and one of the established veteran stud defensemen there, Duncan Keith, got into a scrap at practice. No one is able to tell or has come out and admitted yet if it was serious or playful. But it seemed like from the initial reports, it was a little more on the serious side. And the head coach, Jeremy Colleton, spoke out and said, this were exact words. He said, "You got a brother? Yeah, I do too. I have 2 boys at home, so I've seen that movie before," insinuating that they were basically play fighting. I don't buy it. I think tensions are high.
Yeah, you think about how long those guys have been on that team together. That stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, friendly scrap.
They've been on that Blackhawks team forever. It's going to happen.
The one thing I didn't like about it, though, is I obviously you only see the aftermath of it, and they're like handing each other their gloves back. It's like, come on, if you're going to fight, at least hit their gloves away and actually make this a real thing.
I think that was a real.
I think there was some real pent-up issues there.
Nothing from watching that made me think that it was fake. Honestly, I mean, I might be wrong. I don't know hockey that well, I guess.
I don't think they were throwing fists at each other, but I think that was a good grab, throw them around a little bit. Let's get some aggression out.
What could it have been? What could have happened in practice? Because I saw the little drill there. What I also noticed from that video was like, oh damn, like I'm getting a peek at hockey. I don't think I've ever seen a hockey practice before. That's what I was like, oh, they're practicing a little square thing, and this guy's passing to the thing. It was very interesting to get that. What could they have possibly been in a fight about before that drill?
Could be anything. Frustration for sure, bowling over where they are in the standings. But
does your team fight in practice?
Yeah.
Like in football, there's fights in practice.
I mean, last year
all the time.
But in hockey, you don't hear about it.
Last year, the Blues, Robert Bortuzzo, and I forget who it was, like actually got into a fist fight in practice, like a good old hockey scrap. And I mean, they ended up going on to win the cup later in the year. So,
AQ, how many have you been in? I assume quite a few. It happens on a very regular basis. O-line, D-line, normally the causes of it.
No, there's quite a few, and it's so funny that I listened to your piece this morning about it, and it's so funny because you're right. I mean, you when you watch the film back, you see like what guys came to whose age. I will say this: me, 33, going on 34, 11 years in. There was a fight that happened the last Friday of the season this year. My friends looked at me in quite a different way because while everybody jumped in, it was a raining practice. I was using a towel to try and keep my shoes wet in the background from getting wet in the background. So I did not jump in on that at all.
Yeah, but that's a practice fight. That's not a.
We watched the film back like 5 times. Everybody's like, "Q, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Listen, I was trying to keep my shoes from getting wet. Why are you doing that the last practice of the year?"
I don't know if that's the best excuse for not jumping in.
Hold on, though. That's a practice fight. You're fighting amongst your own team. And definitely you're a scumbag for not going. But it's much different than a game where your team's fighting another team. If your team is fighting another team, like you have to at least show face in that thing. You have to. And in
it was an O-line, D-line fight too, so I got looked at real
hard. Come on. Terrible guy. 33 he said. I have no loyalty anymore.
Yeah, there was no chance I was getting involved in that. This guy had arms that were 38 inches long. As we know, I got short arms. There was no chance I was getting involved.
That was the scouting report. That's why old buddy fell. That's real. You didn't deserve that. Look at you now, 11 years into this thing.
How about that?
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
One more note on the Chicago stuff to kind of close it out here. Elliot Friedman brought this up in his 31 Thoughts column, and I thought it was very interesting. If Chicago falls out of a playoff spot and doesn't quite make the run here we anticipate them to make, will Florida, with Coach Q, take a look at maybe trying to add a piece like Duncan Keith, who he's coached and knows very well, to Florida for the stretch run because they look comfortably in the playoffs?
Do you expect Chicago to make a run? I don't think they have enough.
I don't think they're going to make a deep cup run, but I think they can make a wild card push here at the end of the season. I mean, they're only 3 points out now, and the West seems to be in total flux with what's going on between Vegas and Arizona, who we thought was going to be comfortably there, and now they're kind of pitter-pattering around a little bit.
I mean, after what the Blues did last year, I mean,
nothing's out of the question.
No
right?
team's going to count themselves out until they are officially out of the playoffs.
And Gumpy's not a Canucks fan, but your Vancouver Canucks up there in your part of town are fucking making an incredible run this year.
They're young.
Your
team
Dallas Stars,
well.
which you are a fan of, which I'll never understand, but look very good.
I was given Minnesota North Star gloves from the Stanley Cup we lost to the Penguins.
You're damn right.
Let's go Pens. Breaking news for the Flyers. Breaking news. Flyers mascot Gritty.
Oh, no.
Being investigated for allegedly punching 13-year-old boy.
I mean, that's Philly. What do you expect?
Sounds right.
Just got the news update here in the text message from Bleacher Report. Gritty is currently under investigation for punching a teenager just fresh off the block.
I thought that was a normal Wednesday morning in Philadelphia. Doesn't surprise me one bit.
A 13-year-old kid? Imagine what that...
Not good.
What do you think that 13-year-old kid did? Like stole a free T-shirt or something? Like what do you think he punched the kid for?
Called him a John or something.
He was definitely wearing a Crosby jersey, right?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's it.
Oh. That's like Rick Ross saying he had to go to the hospital because he was having a threesome. That would be like people going to jail so they can up their street cred. Gritty getting investigated for punching a kid wearing a Sidney Crosby jersey strictly because he hates the Penguins would up Gritty's street cred in Philadelphia, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If he wasn't adored enough already, everyone loves him.
He's good. I think he's one of the best mascots ever be introduced. Well, aside from punching children.
Yeah, we don't condone that, but again, it's Philly. Speaking of street cred, did you guys see Paul Stastny picking his teeth up off the ice and out of his mouth guard?
I did.
What happened? Can you break that down for us?
While he was picking up his teeth or before that?
Before that.
I didn't see what happened before that. I saw him picking him up off the.
It was
out of the pool
disgusting.
of blood, though.
Did you see it, Pat?
No, I don't like that stuff.
He's laying on the ice. He picks his head up. He looks at the ref and at the camera, and he takes his mouth guard out, and a big gloop of blood comes out, and he starts picking on the ice, and he's literally picking up his teeth one by one and putting them back in his hand.
Jesus.
We hope he's all right. I hope he gets to a good dentist and gets that taken care of.
This is why I love hockey, though, because these guys, they get some crazy injuries. That's obviously not a crazy injury. You get your teeth or you get some fake teeth
crazy.
or whatever and you move back in. But they get the craziest injuries and they play through it. That's why I think they're the toughest dudes. We've talked about this before. I love the day after the season's over when they actually report what the injuries were, not just upper body, lower body, what they have played through for months, weeks, however many days. I love the toughness that the sport of hockey brings.
Bro, they just eat pucks too. Like, that's what they're taught to do. Hey, you see somebody lining up for a shot, make sure you try to get in front of that with no face shield at all. And if you got to slide in there. They just eat pucks to their faces. I agree with what you said.
Now, not to take credit away from you guys, though, but as football players, I think you would do it too if you could.
You can keep me out of there. AQ for sure. I am not eating a puck. No way.
But if you got your teeth knocked out, and they were.
I don't think I'm playing through a broken leg. These guys play through broken legs. It's crazy to me.
They got like dislocated hips for like a month and a half. They're like, torn. A guy didn't have an ACL for a year. I mean, it's just they do whatever the fuck. They're insane. Insane.
Yeah, it's like turn your head away and get in the lane so you take a puck. Turn my head. I'm going to hit the back of the neck. Like, what are you talking about?
One of those nut jobs along that line is Justin Williams, because he is 40-something years old, ageless wonder, sat out half the entire season here and comes back in January here for Carolina. He was their captain last year, and now he's joined the team again to make a playoff run. He comes back, first game back, gets a game winner in the shootout, and then he has 2 goals the other night, and he leads the team in the celebration. They do the skull, storm surge, Viking clap, and then he gives the military salute for military appreciation night. This guy's rolling. He could do no wrong right now. He's got to be on top of the world.
Yeah, he's killing it. Justin Williams, great get back for Carolina. We talked about it. I mean, him coming back is going to bring so much to that team. They were struggling a little bit. They were down in the playoff hunt. Now they're going to get a couple points back into it, a couple wins, and then they come with the dodgeball celebration. They come with the dodgeball celebration last night, which I thought was awesome.
Do you think that's why it came back now? I'm surprised they didn't wait a little bit longer, like Mike Fisher, that type of deal. 15-20 games.
Seems weird to me to come back right before the bye week in the All-Star game. Like, he's playing 2 games and then now he's off for a week. That didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, like, as an athlete, if you were going to come back from a long time off, would you want to get 1 or 2 games in and then get a week off, or would you rather just wait that extra week? And
they might give him those 2 games to test out whatever it is, see how it is, and then he knows he has a break coming up. They're like, let's see if you can go here, and then we'll know what we have to fix more while we're off. Or maybe, it's like, I think I'm back, and then we'll just take a break afterwards. Because he's
and I would think 100% he's going to be doing stuff this entire break, right? Just to stay in shape. He has to be.
Well, the cardio, hockey is insane. Those workouts that, like, I'll see Sidney Crosby's off-season workouts and stuff. The cardio is fucking next level. They're just sprinting, right, for like a minute and a half, and then they're in, then they're off, then they're in. I assume if you're off for a long time, just like in football, it's hard to get in game shape. So maybe these 2 games are like the test where he's at. Cardiovascular-wise, is that something? I don't know if that's real in hockey.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, he was off for a long time, and he's an older guy. Like, there's no question about his skill level. He's definitely still got that, but is he in game shape? That's a great point.
Is he in game shape? Because I think that would be a sport that you would not want to be tired in. I don't know. Phil, I have no idea. Is that accurate?
I mean, he's only going to play, 10, 12 minutes a game probably at this point?
Maybe. I don't know. Carolina, I mean, they need help up front. Could be 14, could be 15. I mean,
so what is that? That's 15 sprints is what he's doing, basically?
Maybe about 15, 16 shifts a game, yeah.
That's what it is. It's just full speed for a minute and then you're out.
Pretty much, yeah.
Fucking crazy. I would vomit all over the ice. Blech. See you later. Can't do it. Can't run. I'm done.
Not a moment too soon for Carolina either, because they need every point they can get. With the Metropolitan Division, 6 of the 8 teams are in the top point getters in the entire league right now. So you have Washington at 1, Pittsburgh at 4, Islanders at 5, Carolina at 9, Columbus at 10, and Philadelphia at 11, which is absolutely insane to me. That's hands down the best division in the entire league.
They've been, Washington, what they've done, we've talked about it. It's historic, and what Ovechkin's done recently is out of control. Pittsburgh's made an unbelievable run with, I think they got like something crazy. I think 210 games missed between players. I mean, it's something stupid like that. So what they've done is incredible. Islanders picking up right where they left off last year. Carolina is still in the hunt. I mean, they've done an unbelievable job in that division.
Hey, Ovechkin might catch Gretzky in career goals, which is absolutely insane to think about. He went into the Monday's game against the Hurricanes tied with Teemu Selanne as the 11th all-time leading goal scorer. By the time the Caps are done and getting ready to go into this bye week now, he's tied for 9th with Steve Yzerman at 692.
Is he the best goal scorer of all time?
Of this generation, hands down.
How about of all time?
You could make the argument of all time because of the skill level now and what those past guys were playing against, the goalies that were playing mostly a stand-up style with pillows taped to their legs. The goalies that Ovi is scoring on and the players he's scoring against now, it makes it much more impressive to me.
What is it? His shot is just so lethal.
It's unstoppable, yeah. And he can shoot from anywhere, and it's got the same velocity on it. He doesn't lose anything off of it no matter where he is on the ice, and he somehow manages to find the corners. It's so quick. It's deceptive. He gets it off so quick. That release is insane.
His durability has been unreal.
Doesn't miss games.
I think it took him – he just passed Lemieux a couple games ago, I think, in goals. But it took him 200 more games or something like that, which obviously is a soft spot in our hearts. But
200 more games than Lemieux?
Something like that. I think you can look me up.
So he's played 200 more games than Mario Lemieux played?
Yeah. No, granted, Mario had a bunch of injury issues, so that's like I think Ovi's played almost 200 more games than Crosby as well, and I think they're about the same points wise, but Ovi has a considerable amount more goals.
How does he? He just always healthy. That's good for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't shy away either. He's not like he's not.
He's 34 years old.
Yeah, he'll fight too, right? Won't he?
Yeah, he's on pace for 57 goals this season.
Is he the greatest hockey player of all time? Is he going to potentially be in the conversation for greatest hockey player?
He's in the
time?
conversation. Yeah, definitely. It depends how you frame the argument. Like if you consider goal scorers, which is arguably the primary point of hockey, to score goals to win, then you could say
and durability and fighting and all that stuff.
He's got his cup.
The way he scores, too, like he can hit it on the go. Like you look at goal scorers, like Brett Hall was more of like a one-timer on the power play. Like Ovi can just rip it at any time.
This guy's the best hockey player of all. I've always said Crosby is by far, no question, but now it turns out it's the fucking Russian Crosby.
Well, it's different things. Like the leadership thing, Crosby's more like, he plays a center, right? So he's more responsible defensively, so he's impacting the game in different ways. You know what I mean? And Ovi is a winger who traditionally is just leading an attack. Now, granted, the wingers play more defense now than they did back in the day, but still, Ovechkin is mainly an offensive force, whereas Crosby can impact the games more at both ends.
And assists, I'd assume.
Yes, much better. Elevates the play of those around him, and Ovi does that too to a certain degree as well. But Crosby is the guy when it comes to that.
But if Crosby was on the same team as Ovi, that particular team would never lose a game.
It's tough to say in hockey because you're only on the ice for
but he would
so
be
many minutes a
setting up
game.
Ovechkin, right?
But that line would be damn near unstoppable. And
they paired Crosby and Malkin together last night and got fucking nothing. So you don't know what's going to happen.
That was a tough one. Hey, Philly's really good at home. They're like 17-4 at home. It's hard to argue with that.
Their mascot's punching kids. What do you want?
And they got blown out last time they played. They wanted that game bad.
Last game before the break.
Hit a
couple posts, AQ.
3 posts. Crosby hit 2 himself. One more thing. Let's get to this last thing before we get out of here. I wanted to take a look at this and read through this quickly with you guys. This is a 2020 NHL players poll. Done by The Athletic. Most of the questions about like who's the best player in the game, dirtiest player in the game, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you guys have participated in this stuff for the NFL, where whether it be through the NFL or a certain media department. So what do they do? They come up and they hand you basically a piece of paper with a couple names on it, and they say who's the best out of this group of names, something like that.
It's so funny, man. They say that the players vote on the top 100 players. I don't think I've ever gotten a sheet to vote ever in my life. So I don't know who they're asking to vote, but I know it happens. Somebody's voting, right? Somebody's got to be voting.
Hey, I found this out. It was at the Pro Bowl. They asked me to write down my top 10 in Pro Bowl.
So they asked the best players. Who's the best players? Get it.
That's right. And by the way, I put Vinatieri at number 1, and it was the year he made it in. Like, I wonder how many points you get for what ranking you are. Like, I wonder if me putting him at 1 gave him enough points to break into the top 100. It was the year where he almost went perfect. He only missed 1 kick. And I was like, in a sport that revolves around scoring points, if every single time you step on the field, you score, I mean, it's hard not to say you're the best at the game. So I put him at 1. He ended up at like 84 or something, or 90 something.
Was AQ too?
Yeah, I put AQ Shipley at number 3. This guy is a special teams weapon. He's a fullback and he's a center. He can play anywhere at any time. And it depends on what time of year you get him. He can look like a Michelin man, and then he can look like a Greek god. It's one or the other. Really is one or the other. He's
one of the two.
He's just like me, basically. We could really bounce back and forth. So AQ somehow didn't get enough votes to get in there, but I did put Vinatieri in there. It was interesting. I never heard a vote, though, before that. I was like, who the fuck's doing all this voting? And I did top 10. I don't know who does that.
No. All right, so what did the Athletic
So this one is done by The Athletic. Obviously, it claims that they pulled 392 players. This was done by the reporters when they traveled to different games. They say that's more than half the entire league. So the first question was, who's the best player? And they have Jack Eichel at 1%, David Pastrnak at 1%, then Crosby at 15%. In second, Nathan McKinnon at 17%. And first, damn near unanimously, Connor McDavid at 63%.
So no Ovi.
Yeah.
No Ovi, not in the conversation here.
Wow.
Players also receiving votes, but obviously this is less than 1%. Alex Ovechkin, John Carlson, Leon Draisaitl, Patrice Bergeron, Austin Matthews, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Patrick Kane.
McDavid's good at hockey.
Yeah, so
The
McDavid.
good news is they hit it. I mean, I would probably put that as probably the 10 best players in the league, right? Somewhere in that range.
Yeah, for sure. I personally would put Crosby over McKinnon still to this day. McKinnon's obviously younger and he's still got the speed, but not for me.
I have no idea who McKinnon or McDavid are, but I know Crosby's coming after that ass. That's all I know. He's back and better than ever.
McDavid,
When you watch
McJesus.
McKinnon skate, he's at a different speed than everyone else on the ice.
Both of them, McDavid and McKinnon, you could say that about.
Yeah.
So
McDavid's in Edmonton, so you're not a good chance of seeing him play. Is that what I said?
Yeah, you said McKinnon. It's tough. It's the mix.
McDavid's in Edmonton, so
And who's McKinnon? Where's he play?
Colorado.
He's like Sid's best buddy. They're from the same hometown. In the offseason, they work out together, and they're just boys.
Imagine those two playing pond hockey against all the little neighborhood kids growing up. Probably just fucking murder them.
It's disgusting.
Excuse me, coming through, backhand, suck it.
Next question here was a good one.
Have you ever played pond hockey? Is this a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
I got this giant scar on my chin from pond hockey.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I fell and busted my chin open.
You take your own hockey skates and you just go to a pond. You'll get there and there'll be a whole deck set up and the whole thing.
Yeah, the neighborhood girl I was friends with had her own pond. There were no boards or anything, but we brought our own net and we just skated around and shot some pucks. It was a good time.
That'd be a good time. I would play pond hockey if it was ever possible. Where's that at? Only up in Canadians?
No, you can play it here when it's like this out. It's like 19 degrees out. We just got to find a frozen pond.
It's a lot of work, though. There's no ponds that are that frozen. I mean, it takes a lot to get a pond frozen.
You need like a couple consistent days of this temp, which we've had. So there might be around here.
I have fallen through an ice before in a lake.
Really? That's terrifying.
Well, my dad wanted to take me ice fishing, and I wanted to go back in the car. And while I was walking, I fell through. Tim McAfee scooped me out of the hole.
What a hero.
Yeah. I could stand where I was. I think, if I remember, it was close to the edge. But it was definitely a moment where I thought we lost the keys. I have bad memories with frozen ponds, but I would love to play pond hockey at some point.
Something to think about. We also probably should get health insurance because one of us is bound to get a crippling injury. So
Something to think about.
next up, who would you want as your goalie in a Game 7 situation? Jordan Binnington just won the Cup with St. Louis, 7% in last. Tuukka Rask tied for last, 7%. Andre Vasilevsky, the Tampa Bay Lightning, 11%. Marc-Andre Fleury, your boy, Pat, Math, second at 23%. And number one, Carey Price, 33%.
Who's that?
Carey Price.
Montreal.
Yeah, probably the best goalie in the league. Not numbers-wise, but he has that reputation now, and he has been for such a long time that it carries. And we talked about this before, AQ. He was your big-time underappreciated player because the teams around him haven't always been the best. But I was surprised, and I think they got this right with Math getting a lot of love here because that guy always showed up in Game 7s.
I mean, I'm trying to think who else would you have up there. I can't think of anybody else I'd rather have.
Matt Murray, obviously. These are Pittsburgh fans.
Does have two cups.
These are Pittsburgh fans refusing.
He's won a couple Game 7s.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You Pittsburgh fans still giving them the Bronx cheer here. What, 40 minutes into this conversation?
No.
Yeah, that's what's going on right now.
Oh, AQ will turn on Matt Murray quicker than anything you've ever seen. Just wait.
Quick.
Yeah, you're a Pittsburgh. You're a fickle guy. That's what you are. You're
Not a fan. I haven't been a fan. That guy hasn't showed up in 2 years. I'm one of them people booing the shit out of him.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. There's always going to be a couple.
Next question was, who's the most underappreciated player? Jared Spurgeon and Braden Point, both at 3%. Nick Backstrom at 8%. That's a good one. Jonathan Huberdeau, who we talked about, at 9%. And then Alexander Barkov, the center in Florida, at 22%. I'll agree with that. He's very good defensively and offensively, and he never gets talked about because of where he plays at. It's Miami, it's Florida. What are you going to
do? Nobody ever watches Florida Panthers, so those guys are all under. They got pretty solid players down there, and they got Trocheck, the guy
Vinny
from Pittsburgh.
Trocheck, Pittsburgh kid, American guy.
Well,
yeah, and those guys never get loved, but they're solid. They're solid hockey players.
What was the title of that? Most what? Underappreciated?
Underrated player.
Yeah, hockey in general.
I agree. Don't get us started.
I didn't even know who they voted as the best fucking guy in the league. I didn't even know who that was. Maybe he should get a little bit more ratings.
Maybe you should pay more attention, Pat.
I am. I feel like I do. I listen to this show. I don't.
You'll get this one. This is the dirtiest player in the league.
Oh, here we go.
Antoine Roussel at 3%, Radko Gudas at 7%, Matthew Tkachuk, who we talked about at length last episode, 11%, Tom Wilson, AQ, your boy, Tommy Wilson, 24% at number 2, and number 1, Brad Marchand at 29%.
No Subban.
No Subban.
Wow.
He just got engaged. Subban.
Is that right?
To what's her face?
Lindsey Vaughn.
Yeah. Hey, Marchand was the guy that missed the shootout thing the other day.
Yep.
He can't go back and get that.
Because he touched it.
If he wouldn't have touched it.
If he didn't touch it, he could have went
You
back.
could go out there and skate a little circle and come back.
Did he get booed?
No, I don't think so. I think everyone was in shock, really.
And
They were slumping there, right? Was that at home he did that?
Yeah, for some reason, they can't win in overtime or a shootout.
Yeah.
They're like 0 for 9 or 10 this year in those situations, and that just was the icing on the cake.
So did he just hit the bench and then just go right in the locker room?
Yeah, I think he just skated right to the locker room.
Yeah.
He had an unbelievable tweet taking that whole thing in stride. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was something along the lines of, hey, I've lost my hands. Can anybody find them? Or something along those lines.
I like that.
Yeah,
it was pretty good. Taking the whole thing in stride.
He was scrapping with Letang the other night.
He was. He always does. They played juniors together. I think they have a little bit of a relationship in that regard, and they're obviously both fierce.
Oh, they don't like each other?
Not a lot of people like Brad Marchand.
It's hard to
He
like.
plays on the edge.
He's the guy that licked the guy's face. Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris was saying very handsome. Yeah.
Let's talk about somebody that is well-liked, the best referee in the league. Tim Peel got 3%, Dan O'Halloran 3%, Kelly Sutherland 15%, and the number 1 guy, Pat, you know this guy.
Yeah.
Wes McCauley 71%.
Yeah, love that guy. He made my Twitter do well in the hockey world because of his incredible video of the
Very dramatic, very engaging with the crowd and the players.
The NFL wishes they had a McCauley. The NFL wishes they had that guy. I think they had it there with Hockey Lee a little bit. But Hockey Lee still can't even touch what McCauley is. That guy is just good. He is good. Showman. It's a show.
Yeah, it's surprising that the NHL allows that because you think of the NFL refs, you think they would be more like that, but they're so businesslike and so robotic.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Here, let's do this last one here. The player that the other players would most enjoy to drink a beer with. So, last one here, Brent Burns, 5%, Keith Yandel, 6%. Joe Thornton in third at 12%. He's been around the game forever, so that makes sense. Sidney Crosby, surprisingly, at second here with 12%.
It's because they want to learn. And it got to be Phil.
Alex Ovechkin at 14%.
Oh, yep. Agreed. I agree with that one.
I think after that cup celebration, people knew.
Who's the other? Who's the guy that loves the hot dogs?
Phil Kessel.
I would have put him in there. I'd like to have a beer with Phil Kessel, I think.
He did receive a couple of the other multiple votes here. Didn't qualify for the percentage, but they had a couple quotes here, too, as well.
Do you know who Phil Kessel is, Gumpy?
Yep. Scored some good goals for the Penguins.
Hey, he did. Hey, pal.
He was not liked in Toronto, though. Never went well for him in Toronto.
Yeah, that's why he took the cup back up there and said,
It's tough. He's an out-of-shape looking, not actually, but out-of-shape looking American player in Toronto, in the capital there.
It's the hotbed.
Not the capital, but might as well be.
I mean,
I think they love him out here in the desert. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he has done well.
They loved him in Pittsburgh. Well. He was a folk hero. He could do no wrong.
Until he did, and then they wanted him gone.
Well, I mean, the fans. The team wanted him gone, but the fans never turned on that man.
Really? I thought at the end there they turned.
No.
Good. That's a little respect for Phil Dawson. That's a guy I'd like to have a beer with.
Kessel, whoa.
Listen, not everything revolves around kickers, all right?
He kicked for Arizona, though, didn't he?
Yeah, Phil Dawson.
He did. That was my guy.
Yeah.
But I was surprised with Crosby was number 2, and some of the players said, like you said, Pat, I grew up idolizing him. He's got the perfect media person, but it'd be cool to get to know what he's really like. Someone else said, then I could say I had a beer with Sidney Crosby. So I think that was kind of the mindset behind that. That's all I got for today. AQ, you got anything else?
No, that's it. This was a good one. I liked it.
All right, good.
I mean, we had to edit out 45 things for you, but it's been a good show.
We're certainly going to have to edit out you thought fucking Phil Kessel was Phil Dawson, all right?
If you haven't listened to our last episode yet with the American legend Mike Ruzioni, please go back, check that out. Follow along with us at That's Hockey Talk on Twitter. We're on youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. And next week's episode, we're going to be interviewing another living legend, Eddie Olczyk. So we'll get to the bottom of his life story, what's been going on with him. We'll ask him some horse racing questions, of course. And we'll ask him about his kid who punked Pat at practice with the Indy Fuel.
Eddie Olczyk's kid hit a slapper off my balls.
What a tease.
We'll ask him about it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for rocking with us. And that's Hockey Talk.